Good evening, everyone. You're welcome to the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe television. In our top stories, we'll take you to the Douala 4 subdivision, where the divisional officer Issa Daouda has seized contraband drugs and other pharmaceutical products and have them incinerated. It is fights against the sale of illicit drugs as well as expired pharmaceutical products. This is in a bid to improve on the health condition of the population of his municipality of area of command. We as well talk about a woman who has poured hot water on her biological son. The incident occurred at Anse Raphael neighborhood here in the nation's economic capital, Douala, as well as the operation that led to the arrest of some individuals who were trafficking cannabis. We'll be developing those stories in this edition of the newscast. Good evening once again. Welcome to join us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television, where we broadcasting live from the nation's economic capital, Douala. We begin with this sad incident that occurred at Anse Raphael neighborhoods in Douala, where a woman has poured hot water on her biological son. Reason why she did or carried out this act is contained in this report compiled by Malak Glory.
Accident, but a deliberate act of a mother who poured hot water on his adopted son. 17-year-old Emma was accused of stealing 60,000 francs CFA by his adopted mother, wife of a pastor of the Presbyterian Church of Cameroon. As a way of punishment, he was inflicted this pain. With this terrific act, he was abandoned at his own mercy in the neighborhood of Anse Raphael in the Douala 5 subdivision. It was last week Thursday that the lady living up that building boiled hot water and poured on this child with the excuse that he stole 60,000 francs. I noticed it the next day when he went to buy a drink. Since I live just beside the building, he was not ready to talk. When I insisted, he lied to me that it was an accident. Then I had to take him aside, then interrogated him again. That is when he revealed to me that his mother poured hot water on him. Neighbors say mother of 4 has other children in her keeping who experienced similar treatment. They are locked up in the house with no one to talk to. And one of the girls living in the house went through similar torture. The pastor himself used a very hot iron to burn her laps. The girl showed me the scar herself. In the time of this report, Emma was in a Presbyterian Church hospital in Douala where we were refused access. The wife of the pastor almost escaped when she noticed the neighbors had alerted security forces.
C'est dans la soirée d'hier lundi quand nous avons constaté que la femme voulait fuir avec l'enfant.
It is on Monday morning that we discovered the lady was about to escape with the boy. Because of this, I called the security officials. And then I sent people to stop the lady so he will not escape. The security officials finally came and took the lady away. Meanwhile, I asked one of the children about their situation in that house, which he revealed to me that they are going through pain and suffering in the house.
Il souffre dans cette maison. Actuellement, il y a une fille parmi les enfants qui.
However, the young boy is undergoing treatment while his adopted mother is under custody.
While the sale of cannabis, call it marijuana, continues to be a lucrative activity to some Cameroonian security elements, are determined to continue the fight against the sale of this illicit drug that has been rendering most Cameroonians irresponsible. Simanjukan Gabriel tells us that security elements are leaving no stone unturned to ensure this activity comes to an end. He compiled this report.
The grey-colored vehicle marked Toyota was picked up at Sake Market in Douala, littoral region of Cameroon. Within the vehicle was a man who had no justification papers to show as the vehicle owner. During the search done by elements of the company gendarmerie office, they discovered a fake key. The man, who is 38 years old, by name Haruna, was later taken to the Deido Gendarmerie Brigade for questioning. After communicating about the lost vehicle, the owner of the car came to the region office. I was at Ndogbong for a night vigil and was planning to travel to Bangante the next day. I parked my car at about 2 a.m. but when I woke up at 5 a.m., the car wasn't there. I then dropped complaints at the Gendarmerie Brigade and police station in Bonamusadi, but I was told to go to the region office. A sister later told me that someone made an accident with a stolen vehicle at the Sake Market. It is only when you are a victim that is when you know that gendarmes are working. His car will be later given to him after he provided documents pressed by the elements of Colonel Bikele Pierre-Aimé. This marijuana that weighed more than 600 kilograms was seized at the non-Glacé neighborhood in the Douala 2 subdivision. This was during a search that was done at a store in the non-Glacé neighborhood by gendarmes. The owner of the bags of marijuana, a retired prison guard by name Francis, is held behind bars at the Gendarmerie Brigade in Yupwe for more investigations.
Samanjukan Gabriel with that reports there on the fight against sale of illicit drugs and vehicles or stolen vehicles in the economic capital, Douala. We talk about the seizure of illicit pharmaceutical products or drugs that have expired being sold by pharmacies in the Douala 4 subdivision. They were intercepted or confiscated by security elements headed by the divisional officer of the Douala 4 subdivision, Issa Daouda. Most of the drugs seized were incinerated. Details once more with Malak Glory.
The divisional officer of Douala 4 subdivision, Mr. Daouda Issa, personally set the fake drugs on fire, an act which he uses to warn the population against the use of these fake and expired medications. The drugs were seized by the 5th Police District of the city of Douala, located in the Bonaberi neighborhood. This was done during an operation launched by the Regional Delegate of National Security. This thanks to an informant that the divisional officer and his team were able to lay hands on this expired medicine. He wants the population to be aware as these expired medicines are harmful to the human system.
We are today to destroy, drugs, bad drugs that have been seized in relation with the Committee of Fighting Against Bad Drugs. So we are doing this activity to tell the people that they should be aware of the existence of the bad drugs that have been selling along the roads. When you are sick, you need to go straight to the hospital, get drugs coming from there.
The sale of these expired products along the roadside equally affects the economy of the country, as it is an illegal business and difficult to control by the government.
Secondly, those drugs, they are bad for our health. While consuming it, you may be infected. At least it is a poison that you take and put inside your body. The other effect of this drugs that is selling in around the area is economical activities. it is an activity that we cannot control, and then it's had a consequence in
This illegal business still persists in Douala, just like other cities of the country. Expired drugs and fake medications are sold in quarters, putting the people at risk. The population are therefore called upon to be watchful.
And from that report, the divisional officer of the Douala 4 subdivision, still Issa Dawoda, accompanied by the mayor of the Douala 4 subdivision, security officials and other personalities in the municipality, have paid a condolence visit to the family of the deceased Cameroonian Makossa icon, Cote Francois, who died earlier this week from ill health. According to the divisional officer, it is imperative to condole with the aggrieved family, as he who contributed in the development of Cameroon and the growth of cultural music. Cote Francois' death, he says, took them by shock and left them with heavy hearts. Take a listen to the divisional officer for the Douala 4 subdivision, Issa Dawoda, in the following excerpt.
Local administrative authorities, the mayor and security officials in the Douala 4 subdivision, and I all paid a condolence visit to the bereaved family of Cameroon's Makossa star, Cote Francois, to dish them our moral support. Deceased Cote Francois was not only an artist, but also promoter of cultural music, as well as a local development agent, since he served as mayor of Bonalea municipality. Disparity of this great artistic, musical and political figure has really touched our hearts. Reason why we paid this visit to condole with the aggrieved family.
Assister la famille suffisamment endeuillée avec cette grosse disparition.
And now we talk health to say a 61-year-old patient undergoing a cardiac catheterization. This is a medical procedure to evaluate heart functioning of a patient. The operation is done at the operation room of the Douala Hospital. Details with Malak Glory.
Le patient sur la table était malade de 61 ans.
A 61-year-old patient undergoing cardiac catheterization, a medical procedure used by cardiologists to evaluate heart function and diagnose cardiovascular conditions. This cardiac catheterization session is taking place in the operation room of the Douala General Hospital.
Since the inauguration of the cardiac catheterization laboratory at the General Hospital in Douala, we so far have treated 13 patients.
It is a technical progress in this hospital and Cameroon's public health amenities in general.
With this activity that was first of all done in a private institution since 2010, and then now this activity is now done also in the public hospital.
Heart specialists advise that as soon as anyone feels chest pain and other risk factors, he or she should quickly go for checkup.
When you have the risk factors, we talk about hypertension, we talk about dyslipidemia, we talk about chronic smokers, for example, that are able to develop atheromatous plaque in the walls of their arteries. At the moment that you feel your chest pain, and you have those risk factors, consult your cardiologist.
Though the cost of cardiac catheterization is still quite high in Cameroon, medics say it is worth the sacrifice to stay healthy.
And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Up next, Talking Points. And today we having as guest Professor Paul Mobis. He is founder and president of Cameroon Oncology Center, which is, of course, the only center that handles cancer cases in the economic capital, Douala, or Cameroon. He will be telling us more. Good evening, Professor Paul Mobit, and welcome.
Good evening, and good evening, televiewers. Yes, I'm Professor Paul Mobit. I'm the founder, president of Cameroon Oncology Center, which is based in Bikoko, just outside of Douala.
And of course, he is Dr. Professor Paul Mobit is our guest, and you will be getting more concerning that just in a short while. Well, we're moving straight to talk about cancer. First of all, let's understand what this cancer is all about. We know it's a common disease nationwide, as well as in cases in other countries. Most people suffer from it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When I was growing up, I was told that cancer was a disease of the white man. But as I started going to school and learn a bit more about cancer, it becomes very clear that cancer affects...
This is really terrible.
Sorry, it's good. So
we certainly apologizing, but we'll be getting to in touch with Professor Paul Mobit. He is the president, founder of the Cameroon Oncology Center. Good evening once again.
Thank you, and thanks for the interruption. As I indicated, that when I was growing up, I was told that cancer was a disease of the white man, and that Africans do not suffer from cancer, which is absolutely false. In Cameroon, for instance, we have between 20 and 30,000 cancer patients at any given time, and probably about 10,000 of them die every year because of cancer. So it's a serious issue in Cameroon, and also all of Africa, and in fact in the developing countries, cancer is a serious issue.
And there are various forms of cancer. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us the most common ones, and are they deadly?
Yes, I think most forms of cancers are deadly. In Cameroon, for instance, and actually in most African countries, sub-Saharan African, you have, for men, you have prostate cancer, you have lung cancer, you have rectal cancer, head and neck cancers. For women, you have breast cancer, cervical cancer. You also have rectal cancer as well, and then cancer in the head and neck region as well. So yeah, cancer is very deadly when it's discovered late. So the most important thing is getting screened early, or for the cancer to be discovered early.
Are they caused by the same virus?
Not all cancers are caused by virus. So some cancers do have a viral component, but not all cancers are caused by virus. It's a combination of a lot of things. You have the environment, for instance, the food we eat, the lifestyle. You have a genetic component. So there are various things that will lead to somebody getting cancer. So in the, as I say, in the case of Cameroon, prostate cancer and breast cancer, some of it has a genetic component.
And so what are some of the general causes of cancer in most of the forms of cancer that we have?
I would say if you look at breast cancer, I would say it mostly comes from, mostly genetics. I mean, people who eat maybe fatty food, that might be also a cause, but not as significant. And so I would say in Cameroon or in sub-Saharan Africa, we have breast cancer, which is very, very, very serious problem in Africa. Especially, it affects the younger women in Africa, and what they call triple negative breast cancer. And this is very difficult sometimes to treat. And we have many, many cases in Cameroon and in all sort of Sub-Saharan Africa. So something like cervical cancer, yes, that one has a viral component, but also the lifestyle and stuff that can contribute to you getting a cervical cancer, and the environment as well.
It's like most Cameroonians neglect this cancer, whereas I believe it's one of the deadly illnesses around. How can they detect that they have cancer? What are some of the symptoms?
Well, I think for women, for instance, with breast cancer, they need to be aware of their bodies. That's the first thing. So for their bodies, for instance, their breasts go through some changes during the month with regards to their menstrual cycle. So they need to be aware of their body. So they need to do self-examination. And also, when once they are aware of their body, they do self-exam every month. And then if they notice something that's different, then they can consult a medical specialist to look at it. And if it doesn't, they can go further. So it's very, very important screening, especially for something like breast cancer or even cervical cancer, which is easy to treat. It's, something like cervical cancer that's very easy to treat if you detect it early. Really it's a simple, maybe a 1-hour procedure, and they can see when once the cancer starts, they can eradicate it at the point.
Are there some of that cannot be treated? That can only result to death? Because it's kind of frightening. Cancer is not something to joke with.
No, I would say no. What
about like for example, brain cancer and so on?
Well, brain cancer, yeah, we can treat some of them. We can treat some of them successfully. In fact, at Cameroon Oncology Center, we treat quite a lot of patients and cure them. Some we can't. Also depends on the stage at which it's discovered, as I indicated earlier. The earlier stage at which the cancer is discovered, the more easy it is to treat. And you know the main ways that cancer can be treated, you have surgery, so which means the surgeon goes in where the cancer is, cut it out. So that's very basic. It can be done. So when the cancer is discovered early, you can do that. Then you have chemotherapy, which is very effective as well, and radiation. And when the cancer is discovered at a later stage, sometimes you have to use 1 or 2 of these combinations of disease. But once it's more, you can use all of them. And so once they count the stage of cancer at which it's discovered is later, then becomes very, very difficult to treat. For instance, if the cancer has left, let's say the breast, and it's gone out to the spine, or it goes to the breast, or goes to the brain, then it becomes very difficult because you have to treat the one in the breast, they have to attack the brain, they have to attack the spine.
So you have to handle those ones. Will it take time? Will it be healed at the end of it?
Well, it depends. Some of it will still lead to that. What in fact, in cancer, I would say that they don't talk about cure or somebody not being cured. We look at survival. So that's why you always hear in cancer to talk about survival. So if somebody has cancer, there's always a probability that the cancer might return in a different form. And so therefore, we talk about survival. And so, but in general, early stage cancer are very easier to treat than later stage. In the concept of Cameroon and sub-Saharan Africa, most cancer are discovered later because people have an issue. Sometimes they don't know that it's cancer, and maybe they go to the medicine man by the roadside, or they think that it's something different that's not cancer. So by the time most cancer are discovered in Cameroon and in Africa, it's always at a later stage. So we at Cameroon Oncology Center, we see later stage cancer, stage 3, stage 4. And we also see a few stage 1 and 2, but for some of them we can treat them. We can treat them, and the patients have long survivals. Sometimes are cured, even though I don't want to use the word cured.
And can you see the lack of some of these cancer centers in Cameroon? You coming just like the only one. It could be the reason why most Cameroonians are ignoring this illness. They don't know they have cancer. Maybe they might be thinking, is this illness or that?
No, I don't. I just want to correct you there. Cameroon Oncology Center is not the only one treating cancer in Cameroon. Let's get that right. Cameroon Oncology Center is one of the centers that treat cancer. You have General Hospital here in Douala. They have a very good program for cancer. General Hospital Yaoundé as well.
What makes yours special, like yours unique?
Yes, we, as I indicated before, radiation treatment or radiotherapy is used in about 65% of cancer cases. And at Cameroon Oncology Center, we have the best technology. So we have the only linear accelerator in Cameroon. And it's not just about the linear accelerator, there's several components into treating cancer with radiation. So we operate based on US standards. So that's why we brought into Cameroon. So we are. For something like prostate, cervix, breast, yeah, we do a rectal, we do an excellent job.
And in just a few words before we go out, so are there some modes of prevention of this cancer?
Yes, there are several ways. If you don't, for instance, smoking.
Prevention is better than cure.
Cure, of course. So smoking, cessation of smoking, actually, we are lucky in Cameroon. I don't see a lot of people smoking compared to the Western world. So that's a good thing. Alcohol consumption is also a cause for head and neck cancers. You have early sexual activities for women as well, or for our girls. So to tell them they need to abstain or be a little bit older before they engage in that. So that can also lead to cervical cancer because of what that brings with the viral, the viruses, as we said. And then actually the other thing that I want to mention is that HIV also could cause cancer, or the fact that we have HIV may lead you to having cancer too.
Sorry, Professor Paul Mobitz. We just have limited time, but I think it's a very vast subject matter which we can talk about, and for a whole day.
Okay,
thank you so very much for coming.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about cancer and also to talk about Cameroon Oncology Center. And
awareness raising is always imperative at the time when Cameroonians continue to suffer and remain ignorant about certain health challenges. That was Professor Paul Mobitz, CEO and President of the Cameroon Oncology Center, based in Double Bonaberi, right?
No, Bikoko.
Bikoko.
Yes, Bikoko Junction, that's where we are, about a kilometer from Bikoko Junction, that's where we are.
Thank you so very much for coming. And to you viewers, thanks for being a part of this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Have a nice evening.